Do you feel like you don't have a voice when it comes to money in your relationship? If that's you, you don't want to miss this episode. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Debt Free Latina, the podcast where you can finally realize your dream of being debt free and feeling peace about your financial future. And now your host, Mayra Alejandra Garcia.
Hola, hola. Thank you so much for being here. On today's episode, I want to talk about a very sensitive topic that, honestly, it's a very common situation that a lot of us Latinas are in. And I know on here I preach a lot about get your money together. If you're married, you should have your money with your spouse. You should be planning together. But the truth is that a lot of us don't have that privilege. A lot of us have relationships that are a little more complicated than that. It's not so easy to combine our incomes. It's not so easy to feel like you have a voice. To feel that you can speak up and say, hey, I think this is the way we should handle money. Or, hey, how about XYZ? How about this other option? Maybe the machismo is so strong in the relationship that it has blinded your spouse. If that's you, I want to tell you you're not alone. There is a lot of women that are in your situation. There are some key things that I have seen in coaching families that are occurring over and over and over. And there's a pattern that I've seen that needs to be called out. And the truth is, like, sometimes we may feel like, well, my husband makes more money, or I stay home and I don't earn an income. And that may make you feel like you don't have a voice. You don't really do anything to contribute to the family income. And so you have believed this, and that's what's holding you back from speaking up sometimes. Or maybe you do earn an income, but he's the man of the house and we're going to follow what he says. You see, there's a lot of dynamics in a marriage, and marriage is hard. It's just hard. But we have to be strong women in that we need to voice, regardless of the machismo or the dynamic or any of these factors, right, that may be in the way. And sometimes we just don't want to ruffle any feathers. We don't want to create any conflict because we know that if we speak up, we might get an answer that we might not like, and it's going to create more issues. But the truth is, if that's your situation, there are other issues that need to be addressed probably before you talk about money. And see, the pattern that I've seen is that in my financial coaching, a lot of other issues come up that have nothing to do with money. And I'm not a family counselor. So I will defer to one and say, hey, you need to go to a counselor. This seems like a marriage issue that needs to be solved outside of financial coaching. And so it does take a certain level of unity and maturity to go through financial coaching and to talk about money and uniting the money and working together as a team. but it's not impossible. I want you to have the courage to speak up. To speak up and say, hey, here's what I think we should do. Sometimes when the man is really strong and maybe he's the one that's good with the numbers, that's fine. Let him put it together. But you have a voice. You have to be able to look at the plan he may put together and for you to speak into, hey, I don't think it should be allocated this way. I think it should be allocated that way. How about we do this? How about if I get an allowance? How about if I get the ability to go shopping once a month? Or I do a Costco run once a month. Whatever you need, you feel you need to be able to come together and have an agreement. But if you can't even get there, which is what I'm coming across a lot, if you cannot even get there, then there are serious boundaries that need to be set. And there are some serious conversations that need to be had. And that's so unique to every relationship. But I want to really encourage you to have the courage. You have nothing to lose. If you continue to have this situation, you're going to keep getting your current situation right now. If you let it go, it's just going to stay the same. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So something needs to change. You have to speak up. You have to come together with your husband. You have to. If you want to win with money, the quickest and fastest way to do it is to have a plan together. Now, will I help a single person? Absolutely. But it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder when you don't have an accountability partner. It's a lot harder when your spouse is still spending, but you're over here trying to control and limit some of the overspending that's happening. You see? It just doesn't work as well. And I'm not talking about single people. I'm talking to my married couples. If you are married, you should have your money together. But if you cannot see that as a possibility, then you have to ask yourself some more serious questions as to why that is. And if there's boundaries that need to be set, then be prepared to have some serious conflict. Because every single time I have set a boundary in my marriage, in a relationship, it has brought friction. And I've had to learn to stand my ground and say, no, this is as far as you're going. I am not going to allow this any longer. And this is not about like my way and your way. It's more of a, let's come to a compromise. I know I'm not going to get my way. But what I am seeing here is totally unfair. Whatever it is. And that's what marriage is about. It's coming together. It's having some combined and mutual goals that you're shooting for as a family. And you can include the kids. I mean, we did that when we were getting out of debt. The kids knew exactly what was going on. And I'm going to have another episode about that whole thing because my 18-year-old just told me about how that affected her. And I got to say, I never knew it affected her in a negative way. So that's another topic for another day. But I'm going to talk about how talking a lot about money in our family and having that be such an open topic is also not super helpful. There's got to be balance. There's got to be a balance of the two. And there's got to be balance in your marriage. There's got to be balance in everything that you do. You can't just be so strict. You can't live thinking it's going to be fine. I'll deal with it later in the future when it comes to your spending. There's got to be balance. And so if you have to have a difficult conversation with your spouse, you are strong, you are courageous, and you can do this. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to support you via email. If that is you, please send me an email, Mayra@debtfreelatina.com. I want to make sure that you are encouraged. I want to hear from you. You can do this. If you're scared, reach out to me. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I know this is a difficult topic, but it was one that I've seen a pattern. I just thought we need to talk about this. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to Debt Free Latina. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can take Mayra with you on your journey to become debt-free as you build financial wealth. Looking for more? Follow Mayra on Instagram at debtfree.latina, Facebook at debtfreelatina, and online at debtfreelatina.com.